Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and sharing my thoughts on the new Morphe Gilded Desert collection. So I picked up the eyeshadow palette, of course, and the bronzer and highlighter. So I basically picked up the whole collection. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay guys, so I talked about this in my purchase or pass video and I told y'all if I see this in store, I'm gonna get it, okay? I even ordered this online when it first came out and it hasn't even come to me yet, so I'm like, I was so impatient. I saw it in the store and I was like, I need this. Starting off with the eyeshadow palette, this is another 35 pan palette. This retails for $27. I don't know what it is with Morphe. 1 minute it's $28, then it's $26, then it's $27. I feel like Morphe cannot decide how much they want to charge for their palettes. But this one right here is $27. Now, what's interesting about this palette is that it is a bronze palette, but there is lots of toasty terracottas, cool tone neutrals, and sultry nudes. Okay, quoting Morphe here, this is what's on the box. So this palette right here really caught my eye because I love the fact that there was those like burnt terracotta shades, which I love. I love a warm tone brown like that, like a warm tone orangey brown kind of shade. I also love the fact that there was cool tones in this palette, which is very different for me because I don't usually wear cool tones. I do have some swatches going on the screen for you guys. I didn't swatch the whole palette. I just swatched the shades that really stood out to me the most. Next up in this collection, we do have some new bronzers, which is really nice. This is the Bronze Show Velvet Matte Pressed Powder Bronzer. This is super interesting because it is a matte bronzer that gives you a sun-kissed look. It's talc-free and infused with soothing organic coconut oil plus nourishing shea butter. So this formula is kind of like a hybrid kind of formula. I feel like Morphe is going into that realm where they're giving us more nice infused ingredients like hyaluronic acid, shea butter, and all of that. And then the other product in this collection is a highlighter, which definitely stay towards the end of this video to see how I feel about this. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Look. So here's the look that I came up with. It's kind of like a smoky halo eye. I wanted to do something smoky today for this look. Love how there's like the warm tones on top and then there's the cool tones on the bottom. And I was like, you know what? I want to do like a grungy, smoky eye today. So that's what we're gonna do. Starting off, I'm gonna take this shade right here called Dune Buggy. So I'm gonna take that shade and I'm basically going to plop this all in my crease. This is going to be my transition shade. Now, I don't know if it's just me or if I haven't played with Morphe shadows in a little minute, but these shades blended so beautifully and the pigmentation was truly there. I'm just like, what the heck? I do not remember Morphe's shadows being this creamy and pigmented. I'm gonna take this shade right here called Dawn to Dusk. This is basically like the next step up. So this is going to go in my crease as well, so I can just start to add depth to my transition. So I'm just kind of like adding depth to the look. And this shade basically just gives me that added dimension that I want. This is the shade that's kind of like peeking through the whole look on this side. So this shade is very important to have. Super cute. Loving. So next up, we're gonna start darkening the outer and inner corner to kind of form that halo eye effect. So the next shade I'm gonna go in with is this shade right here. This shade right here called Sun Seeker. It's a dark brown. When I first used this shade, I was like, it's not deep enough for a halo eye, even if I built it up. So we are gonna go into the black in the palette to add that depth that we're missing. Like, I wanted this to be even deeper. See how this shade, even if I build it up, is not getting as deep as I would like. So I'm just placing this shade in the inner and the outer corner, and I'm basically leaving the center kind of blank. It's okay if it gets there a little bit, but this is how we're gonna start forming that halo eye. So now that I have that shade on, I'm gonna go into the black in this palette, which is this shade over here. This black is super pigmented, so definitely tread lightly. But I'm basically just taking this black shade on top of that brown shade we put down. This is giving me that deep, dark inner and outer corner that I was looking for. I'm gonna go back into that fluffy brush that I went in with my first transition shade, and I'm just gonna kind of soften up and blend out the edges of this look so it's not so harsh. So I wanna go ahead and cut my center out to help that halo eye really like pop. I'm gonna go in with my P. Louise base in the shade 2. You all know I love this base. So I'm just gonna take some of this on a concealer brush, and I'm just basically going to cut the center just like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. I like to just get it on the center and then take my finger and start to tap it onto the lid to kind of blend it out. I loved this eyeshadow right here. This is the shadow that really spoke to me. I was like, I want to use this. So I'm going to take that one right there. That one's called Lustrous Life. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful shade. I'm obsessed with that shade. It's so beautiful. And just look, it's like a beautiful cool toned shade. I just thought this would complement this look so well. All right, so now that that's laid down, I'm gonna go back into that same brush I went in with that black, and I'm just gonna kind of start to diffuse the edges, just so it is not harsh. I want it to be blended and seamless, like on the other side. Fun part, which is what I love, I'm gonna take my Made by Mitchell All Smudge No Budge eyeliner in the shade Black Track, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of rough sketch myself a wing. It's not gonna be perfect. Very much not gonna be perfect. So I'm basically just gonna do that, just kind of like a rough sketch myself a nice little wing. I'm gonna take like a liner brush, and I'm just gonna start to kind of smudge this out. I love this eyeliner. It's so good, especially if you want to smudge. But of course it gives you room to smudge and it'll dry down. It's a very interesting wing. It's like a thin, curved out wing, which I do like. I like that look. It's cute. It's different. Very different. Also gonna just take that same liner and go on to the waterline. I didn't put any shadow on the lower lash. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the highlighter as well as the bronzer. So the eyes are done. I am loving this halo eye. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the face. So I just wanna do a little bit of a comparison. So next up we do have the bronzer that we're gonna try out. This is the Bronze Show Velvet Matte Pressed Powder. The shade that I picked up is Cocoa Whoa. I did place an order online on Ulta.com of the bronzer, so I picked up 2 shades. I saw this in store and I was like, okay, I want to get it in store because like why not? So I don't have the more bronzery shade. This one looks like it'll be more of a contouring maybe. This is like the deepest shade in the collection, so I'm not sure how this shade is going to turn out as a bronzer for me today, because I bought these with the intention that one was going to be a bronzer, one was going to be a contour kind of shade. I do want to do a size comparison of the Morphe blushes that came out in their last collection, and it actually is a much smaller product, so you get less in here. I picked it up here. We're gonna see. Ooh, very pigmented. Very pigmented. Let me see. There is no mirror in here, so you're gonna have to get your own little mirror. But I don't know. This is actually feeling like it's bronzing. I feel like when it comes to bronzers for me, I like to have my bronzer with a little bit more red in it. But this is definitely working. It's actually not really contouring. It's actually bronzing, which I like. Wasn't expecting this. And I like the formula. I feel like it's blending really nicely. Do I like this more than my Morphe Supreme bronzer? I low-key feel like it might be the same formula maybe, or maybe an improved formula. I don't know, because they do advertise this bronzer as talc free as well, like on the packaging of it. So on the package of it, it says buildable and velvety, this matte bronzer delivers the ultimate sun-kissed look, talc free and infused with soothing organic coconut oil plus nourishing shea butter for a totally good for you bronze. Like, I'm loving this. I'm loving that Morphe is taking the route of adding like these nice little skincare-y benefits to their products. I think it's great. I'm just gonna try to do a little bit of a nose contour with this, maybe. Let's see if it'll give me a contoured nose, and it definitely does. Okay, I see you, Morphe. Now that I have that on, I do want to add some blush. So I'm going to go into the Morphe Blush Balm in Mighty Mauve. I don't think I've actually put this on top of powder, so we're going to see. I'm going to use their hybrid cream and powder blush brush, and I'm just going to lightly tap this on. Hopefully this doesn't disturb the makeup, and it doesn't look like it is. Since I have a nice dark smoky eye, I don't really want to go too heavy with the blush today. I seriously love this Morphe Balm product. I feel like it's like a cream to a powder kind of formula, and I love it. I'm hoping we see more shades of that because I am in love with that. I want to see like a red or something from that, and it's going on top of powder really well. I don't feel like it's picking up my foundation or anything, which is nice. At least that's what I'm not seeing it pick up my foundation or powder. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on. I'm not gonna do too much. Just gonna take a little bit of this blush and apply this higher up on the face. I don't necessarily know if I'd use that balm on top of powder. I feel like I would do it under, but I guess it's fine. Moving on, let's go ahead and get into the highlighter. This is the Glow Show highlighter. The shade that I picked up is Gilded Glow. This looks super light. This is the only one they had in the store, but I really wanted to test this out and review this collection for you guys. So the shade that I picked up online is actually the shade that I feel like would work best for my skin tone. But since this is all that they had in the store, I wanted to pick it up and try out the formula. So I think this is going to be a little bit too light for you, girl, but it's okay. It's a pretty shade, but I don't know if it'll work for what I want to do, like on the face. But it's pretty. Oh, wait a second. Hold up. Hold up. Like I need to see the shade in different lighting. Let's swatch it, because in the pan it looks kind of icy, but I don't know. It's kind of, its shade doesn't really feel pretty smooth. It feels kind of rough, honestly. It feels kind of rough. I think the shade might be too light for me, but I don't know. It just feels rough in the pan. It's really, really like rough, and it has a lot of fallout. It's not like a fine highlighter. On the face, it looks fine. It just doesn't look super, super smooth. The shade, I can look past the shade, but I just feel like as a whole, the highlighter is a little bit like chalky-like. It feels rough when you apply it. Let me look at this box. Let me see what this box is talking about. And also the highlighter costs more than the bronzer, so let me just say that. It says silky smooth, sheer to buildable highlighter to give your look mega dimension, talc free and infused with hydrating hyaluronic acid plus antioxidant rich vitamin E for a totally good for you glow. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm really liking the highlighter formula. I don't know if I'm really liking the highlighter formula, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup, and then we're gonna be back for my final thoughts on this new collection from Morphe. Okay, let's get into my final thoughts on this new Morphe Gilded Desert collection. So let's go ahead and start off with the eyeshadow palette. So this palette I think is super, super cute. I really like it. Either I haven't played with Morphe shadows in a hot minute, or they changed their formula, or what. I'm a sucker for warm brown tones, but I love the fact that I get cool tone and warm tone shadows in this palette. I think it's super cute. I know a lot of people say Morphe comes out with the same palettes over and over again, but honestly, I do not buy those neutral palettes from Morphe. This was the first one that actually kind of caught my eye, and I was like, okay, Let me see what this one is working with, and I ended up being really surprised by it. I feel like the shadows blended out beautifully. The shimmers were super pigmented. I feel like in the past, when it comes to Morphe's shimmers, they're pressed super, super hard, but I don't feel like these shimmers are pressed hard. I feel like they're soft enough where you're gonna get that intense shine, that intense pigment, glitter on the lid. I feel like it's definitely a reflective shimmer formula in here, and the palette that I'm referring to that has a lot of like shimmers that are pressed hard is like their Mickey collab palette. I feel like that was the last Morphe palette I played with, and I feel like some of the shimmers were great, but some of them were kind of pressed hard where I really had to dig my finger or my brush into the pan to actually get some sort of pigment onto my lid. With this palette, I feel like I didn't have to do that. I really like this one. I feel like I like it. I love that there's cool tones and warm tones in this palette. I love the cool tone shimmers. I just love everything about this palette, to be honest, and this is great. Let's talk about the bronzer. This is probably my favorite product I tried in this collection. I feel like the bronzer blended out so beautifully. I actually thought this was gonna be more so of a contour shade, because when it comes to bronzers, I like a little bit more red in my bronzer, more warmth. This kind of looks a little bit cool, but it really surprised me with the fact that when I put it on, it definitely looked like it bronzed me. I'm looking pretty bronzed right now. I love the formula of this. I feel like it's very smooth and creamy. Like even just running my finger in the pan, it is definitely a creamy formula. It doesn't feel powdery at all. It just feels creamy, almost hydrating in a way. I just love how it went on to my skin. It went on beautifully, evenly, kind of like I was putting a cream bronzer on in a way. Whatever they put in this bronzer formula, I need them to keep doing it because this formula is amazing. I love this new formula. I also love the packaging of this. This is definitely my favorite product I tried today. And then lastly, the highlighter. This I was not impressed with. I feel like the formula is really powdery but dry. It's a dry highlighter formula. I just do not like this. This is not a formula that I would pull from. Even like running my finger in this highlighter, it just feels powdery. Like I don't like highlighters like that. I feel like highlighters should be a smooth, you know. I don't like the formula of that highlighter. I feel like they should have kept the same kind of ingredients that they did in the bronzer with the highlighter. And what's interesting is that the highlighter costs more than the bronzer. That I don't understand. Not a fan of the highlighter. If there's anything you can skip in this collection, it definitely would be the highlighter for sure. I personally think the bronzer is a really good pickup. If you already have neutrals in your collection as far as the eyeshadow palette, it's not something that you need or that you're missing out with. But the bronzer I feel like is a very unique formula from Morphe. Just like the blush balm, this bronzer is definitely worth a pickup, honestly. So that is it for the new Morphe Gilded Desert collection. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope it was helpful in some way. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.